Hello everyone, this is General History, and this is part 8 of our Ultimate General Civil War playthrough. We are playing... Oh wow, I just realized that. Oh god. So we are playing the Battle of Shiloh. Uh, we are currently fighting near Shiloh Church. We have already launched our attacks on the Union left, but now we're back on the Union right, attacking Shiloh Church, trying to force Sherman and McClernand out of their positions, trying to get up and around them and flank them, although some of their forces look like they are starting to retreat. My goal is to cut them off here with these forces so they can no longer retreat. Oh wait, I thought that was Stuart. Somehow I got some skirmishers up behind me. Oh, I didn't realize Stuart was still in there. Start pushing forward. Alright, so we're routing race forces. General Grant has been spotted. He came to see his army being destroyed. Okay. Okay, so yeah, there's Grant. Now, according to the game timer, it's about 12 o'clock, a little after 12. Grant actually arrived on the field about 8 o'clock. He was actually eating breakfast when he heard the sounds of cannon fire. I believe he said something along the lines of the ball is in motion, as he signaled for his staff to basically start their preparations. He had ordered, he was across the river at Savannah, and he had actually ordered William Nelson, who was the lead division of Buell's army, to go ahead and start crossing the river. He then took his steamship, the Tigris, his flagship, and sailed it to Crump's Landing. Now, Crump's Landing was another place where Grant had troops under control of General Lew Wallace, and he had ordered Lew Wallace's division to prepare as well. Basically, just get ready. I don't know what the situation is. Essentially, let me go check out the situation, and I'll call for you if needed. Was the idea. Now, oh wow, Stonewall Brigade got pushed back. Now this ended up being a poor move. It's really hindsight's 2020 type of deal, because Grant didn't know the situation at Pittsburgh Landing at the time. Where is Stuart? Stuart's up north. I mean, get in behind and try and go after there. So Stuart didn't know. Oh, we could take their supplies. Take his supplies. Take his supplies. Grant didn't know the situation at Pittsburgh Landing, which is why he didn't tell Lew Wallace at the time to go ahead and start crossing. Let's see if I can get those supplies out of there now. I do have cavalry on my rear, so I want to make sure I can get them out of there. So I've been pretty successful with getting around his army. It looks like he only has Marsh here now. Looks like I'm getting artillery fire from off map. Oh no, there's artillery in that little homestead there. Oh, I'll get up there. What are you doing? And Stuart has sort of broken. Not really sure what's going on with my left. Where's my supply wagon? Oh no! God, you get down there, protect our supplies. I mean, I know I just took their supply wagon, but I don't want to lose mine. They got their supply back. No, Stuart, somebody get up there and rescue Stuart. I may lose Jeb Stuart, guys. I may have lost Jeb Stuart. They are sending everybody against Stuart. Alright, so now they're saying blue coats are establishing a second barrier of defense. They are desperate to hold their position, surround them and give them hell. So this battle keeps skipping back and forth, which I guess is probably a good thing, because that's really how the battle went. I mean, the battle was being raged on two different flanks simultaneously. You must overrun the Union defenses in order to secure a path to Pittsburg Landing. Generally, if you fail, our whole offensive will become disorganized and collapse. Well, the offensive was pretty much disorganized from the beginning. I mean, as Confederates started taking these Union camps, they pretty much broke ranks and were like looting and eating, because they were given 5 days rations before the march. But between the longer march than what was expected because of the heavy rains, and the fact that most of the troops were had already eaten most of their rations even before they even headed out. Most of the forces were hungry, so these Union camps that were already cooking food for the morning meals, the Confederate soldiers who were starving at this point were stopping, and it took everything the Confederate officers had to get their troops moving again. It even took Sidney Johnson himself. He struggled to get his forces moving again, so it ended up being a very disorganized advance. Alright, so let's go ahead, let's take a look at what's going on. So we do have forces in their rear. I don't know if they already have troops at the Hornets Nest or if they're going to start retreating here. Hopefully not. I'm hoping I can get them hold their positions. But just in case, let me go ahead and move Gibson up. Move a couple of my batteries up as well. So it looks like they are starting to pull some of their troops back. I'm gonna start moving troops towards the peach orchards. Try and get up around the Hornets Nest. Union has a lot of cavalry in this battle. Traditionally, I don't believe they really actually had much cavalry at all. In fact, one of the reasons, given that they didn't advance when they finally broke the Confederates on the second day, was the fact that they didn't have much in the way of cavalry to sort of to push the routing armies with. So Gladden broke. Grant is now on the right. Now Grant spent the morning when he did finally arrive, sort of securing and patching holes in the Union lines. Like I said, at this point, Union was pretty disorganized themselves. Pond, what are you doing? Aladdin, get back up there. So the Union was also very disorganized at this point. Why did you advance that far, Pond? Did I tell him to advance that far? I don't think I did. I may have. Maybe I did. Can't tell if they have anybody in the Hornets Nest yet. Daniel Ruggles is wounded. That is who is in charge of Pond's division. I don't see Ruggles anywhere. Unless he's the artillery commander. So they do have some forces heading into the Hornets Nest. I think I can overwhelm them now, maybe? Gibson, get up there and charge. Well, they don't have many forces in there. Charge! So it says we've taken the Hornets Nest. I don't know how long that's going to last. Got Gibson up in there. I don't know if he's going to be... Oh, he broke Allen. He did actually break Allen. Let's see if I can get Statham up there as well. I'm literally trying to run troops into position now. This is sort of one of those interesting battles where if you know the history of the battle and what took place, you can sort of try and prevent certain things from happening. Like I said, my idea was to try and rush as many troops north as I could from the get-go of the battle to try and prevent just this. And I was able to actually really overwhelm the Hornets Nest before they really dug in. Now, the importance of the Hornets Nest is oftentimes overblown. If you read a lot on it, the Hornets Nest, although important and was the Union center, the battles in the Peach Orchard on the Union left, as well as Jones Field on the right, were much more important positions for the Union to hold. Now, I am worried that I might be starting to get like the enemy might start sending reinforcements. That's my biggest worry at the moment. Alright, so never mind. Because I took the Hornets Nest, General Grant is establishing his last line of last line of defense at Pittsburg Landing. Don't hesitate, attack, and victory will be ours. The ironclads USS Taylor and Lexington have been spotted off the banks of Pittsburg Landing and present a threat to our right flank. It is advised to not get too close to them. Alright, so let's pause and talk about the history, because seeing as the history is now being rewritten at the current moment in time, as I start to organize my troops for, because I still have there is a lot going on now. This could end up bad for me, because okay. So I now have my forces broken into, now there's sort of a salient here in the middle, not really even a salient, but my forces are broken into. It's interesting, if you look at the middle of the map, it goes blue, red, blue, red. So I'm sort of starting to surround the troops here around the around the Hornets Nest. I don't know what they have for forces up at north. I don't know if they have anything up north at the moment. In fact, I might send a few divisions just to rush in to Pittsburg Landing, or a few brigades to rush into Pittsburg. Actually, I'll just send two. I'll hold the Bloody Eighth here. The old first will go up to Pittsburg Landing. I got a lot of cavalry on my rear. Because of this, I want to try and make sure my supplies are secure. I don't want to have to replace my supplies. So let's talk about the history of what's going on now, because we really just skipped over a whole lot. Because, like it was saying at the time, Jones Field, which I believe is, let's see, probably this area up here, maybe? This area in here? No, maybe in here. Was the source of a lot of, basically, sorry, I was taken a little off guard by the fact that I've actually pushed so far so easily. So Union set up their lines about midday here. So they set up in the Peach Orchard, which was commanded by Hurlbut's division. Prentice and W.H.L. Wallace took the Hornets Nest, and Sherman and McClernand sort of bent their divisions along this line here near Jones Field, which I'm assuming should be in here. If that's Shiloh, maybe it was maybe this is supposed to be Jones Field. I'm not really sure. This map looks a little bit off. It's pretty much accurate, but it looks a little bit off. So this might be Jones Field in this area as well. Could be. So the Union line was sort of bent backwards, but in the direction towards Pittsburg Landing. Sidney Johnson wanted to bend it the other way, which is sort of what I'm doing now. In a way, although not really so much bent as it is just totally shattered at this point. We're pushing up against this creek here, which I'm not really sure what river that's supposed to be honest. Now, like I said, the battles around Jones Field and the peach orchards were actually bigger and more significant than the Hornets Nest. The Hornets Nest really gained its fame sort of after the battle. The fighting at the Hornets Nest really wasn't too intense until the fighting at Jones Field and the Peach Orchard actually concluded, and those forces retreated back. Now, Sherman and McClernand were pushed back past Jones Field, and then eventually would then counter push the Union back, or the Confederates back near Shiloh Church, and really put up stiff resistance on the Union right until they were pretty much running low on ammo, and it was decided they needed to fall back and resupply. That's when Grant put them along with this 3-mile long line of defenses along Pittsburg Landing. Now on the left side, again, Hurlbut put up a strong defense in the peach orchards here to the left of the Hornets Nest, the Confederate right. This is actually where a force under Breckinridge refused to fight. They refused to fight, and that's when Sidney Johnson actually led his troops from the front, rallied his men, pushed them through the peach field. Now that's unfortunately though where Sidney Johnson would be shot right below the knee in the back of his right leg, which cut an artery. He would slowly bleed to death. He was with the Tennessee Governor Isham Harris when he slumped over, and Harris was able to grab him, asked the general if he was wounded, to which he responded, "Yes, and I fear seriously." These would actually be his last words. Now, unfortunately for Johnson, all that really was required to heal him, they actually couldn't locate his wound at first, and all that really would have been able to keep him alive, what would have saved him, would have been just a simple tourniquet at the time. Or may have saved him. You can't say it would have saved him, but it may have saved him. But unfortunately, they had difficulty locating the wound, but also he had Johnson had actually sent away his personal surgeon to actually help with the wounded at the time, so that they had no medical officers, and it took a while for them to locate a medical officer at the time. So unfortunately, even though he was able to rally his troops and push Herbert's divisions out of the peach orchards, he unfortunately would succumb to his wounds, and command would then go to Beauregard, who Sidney Johnson had ordered earlier in the day to organize troops and supplies in the rear. So Beauregard, not being at the front, not really knowing what was going on, not really knowing, only getting orders from his subordinates, had no idea that the flanks were retreating, and ordered most of his troops to then attack the Hornets Nest, where Prentiss and Wallace's divisions were. Now, the fighting was extremely intense at this point. Ruggles, who in fact got injured earlier, or died, I can't remember if he got injured or died. Ruggles had set up a 50-gun battery close to the Hornets' Nest and just pounded the Hornets' Nest with artillery fire, which eventually would break the defenders. Wallace would attempt a retreat out of the Hornets' Nest. Unfortunately for him, he was shot in the head and left for dead. Now, Wallace wouldn't actually die that day. His body was actually recovered the next day when the Union pushed south. And he was still alive at the time. His wife was actually on one of the riverboats. She had actually come to visit him that day. He would be taken to her, and he would unfortunately succumb to his wounds a few days later. Now, Prentiss would not be able to retreat out of the Hornets' Nest. Prentiss would eventually surrender over 2,000 men to the Confederates. And really, that's where that's really where the story of the Hornets' Nest comes from. It was really propped up after the battle as something really more than it was. Now, that's not to say it wasn't intense fighting, but not to mention the fact that one of the things was that the Hornets' Nest was sort of this key to Grant setting up his defensive lines at Pittsburg Landing. That's also a bit of a overreach there. His lines at Pittsburg Landing were already pretty strong, especially with the arrival around 5 o'clock of William Nelson's divisions. Sorry, sorry, I apologize. With the arrival of William Nelson's divisions. Now, while all this is going on, Grant, before this, had actually ordered the command, which is really where Prentiss got the idea, and Wallace had really got this idea of holding the Hornets' Nest. Grant had issued the order of hold at all hazards, which at that time was pretty much meant hold to the last man. So that's why Prentiss and Wallace had held for as long as they did, and like I said, eventually leading to their capture. Now, another Wallace that we had mentioned earlier, Lew Wallace, was supposed to be here by now. Grant had sent back orders. Once he evaluated the situation and realized that this was a major attack, he had sent back for Lew Wallace, who was only 6 miles away at Crump's Landing. Wallace would misunderstand his orders. I believe he waited until after his troops had lunch to then march out. By this time, Sherman was already in retreat. He was taking a road south. I forget which road, sorry. He was taking a road south, which would have ended up, because of Sherman's retreat, I believe it was this road here. Could have been, maybe this road up here. I'm not really 100% sure, I apologize. He was taking a road south that would have actually put his forces on the Confederate rear. Although, which you would think would be a good position, not really at this time. The Confederates would have overwhelmed him significantly if he had approached on the rear. A orderly from Grant would tell him then to then reverse and then heads south along the Corneth Road, or no, the River Road, sorry, which I believe is this road here, which would allow him to uh, arrive at Pittsburg Landing. Now, Lew Wallace, instead of just reorganizing his troops and then starting his rear column as his front and then back marching, he then countermarched, which means basically if you were going down this road, the front of the column would have stayed in the front and then made a big old U-turn, and the whole column would have to keep making U-turns and then countermarched because he didn't want to reorganize his forces. So this took up even more time, and Lew Wallace wouldn't arrive to after the fighting had stopped. Oh, what did I just do? No, I don't want that. Lew Wallace wouldn't arrive until after the fighting had stopped on the first day. So that's really where we stand as going into in historical senses as we go into this final, what hopefully will be the final, because hopefully I can overwhelm any forces that they now have at Pittsburg Landing. I don't know if they do have any, but hopefully if they do, I can overwhelm them. Now this probably will take us to about 7 o'clock, so we definitely will probably see Nelson's division arrive, as well as Lew Wallace's division, as we try and take Pittsburg Landing. So we might see some reinforcements here, I don't know. This is getting to be a very interesting battle. Okay. So let's go ahead and start. Now, after the Hornets Nest was actually taken, Beauregard did try and send an attack to the north here, but between the Tyler and Lexington, the timberclads that were in the river giving artillery support fire, and the strong positions on the height, there's actually a ravine right in front of the heights that Grant had set up his troops along. That the Confederate forces would then have to go into before. Come on, you can get out of there, Stuart. Get out of there. No, Stuart, push through. I don't want to lose Stuart. I'm gonna try and, because the big thing is gonna be to try and prevent these forces from getting to Pittsburg Landing. So he does have some artillery already set up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna not do a frontal assault. See if I can take out Allen. Alright, let's pause again. Gotta make sure I get my troops into position, because they are looking like they're taking their openings here in this gap to try and move north. I don't want them to reach Pittsburg Landing. If they reach Pittsburg Landing, this battle is going to become intensely more difficult. Of course, I also have troops moving through the peach orchards. I think I'm going to move my character up to try and keep this small group of forces morale up, trying to take the path of least resistance with these troops that I'm trying to move forward. Hey, Stuart survived. There we go, Stuart. Keep him back to defend. Enemy has a lot of cavalry. Mount up this cavalry and charge forward. Oh wow, I need to get my guns up. This supply wagon is empty. So now we don't want to retreat it. But I believe if the battle does go into a second day, I can then use that supply wagon again. I think a little bit of it comes back. It gets resupplied a little. Oh well. No, you stay here. So we've really stopped these troops from moving forward, at least. Not really sure what happened with these guys. They've taken a lot of damage, though. I think they've lost about 7 guns? 6 guns? 6 guns, I think. Hey, we secured Pittsburgh Landing. We have to hold it for 20 minutes. I think maybe if I hold it for 20 minutes, the battle ends. I'm not 100% sure. I hope that to be the case. I think I'm going to start moving north just in case they counterattack. Alright, Martin, you go ahead and run into position. Pretty sure they still have an artillery position here. Go ahead and flank right. Use whatever condition you have left to get up there. So I have a couple of artillery positions. If the battle ends at 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, oh, Martin got routed. That's unfortunate. The old first is holding on. They're almost out of ammo though. You have 50% cover, but I'm sure these troops are in better cover. Start moving these guys to get across the field. A lot of my forces are running out of ammo. 4 minutes to hold Pittsburgh Landing. 3 minutes. Hopefully the battle ends at 3 minutes. We pretty much crushed the Sherman's and McClernand's divisions. Only a little bit left. Okay, so the battle didn't end, unfortunately. I think we do have to hold out, so that is unfortunate. As we are now running out of ammo, we're I am trying to get troops up here as quickly as possible, while also trying to push their troops away. those supplies were empty anyway. I am very disorganized, but this is sort of the way the whole battle went. Now, okay, Martin did finally break through, and now on their rear, Jackson and Pond are moving up. Pond doesn't get them all running though. Break off some skirmishers, have them attack that force in our rear. So Martin is now breaking again. He must have like no morale at this point. Alright, their old verse unfortunately broke. So like I said, there's a ravine, and basically as the Confederates did assault Union on that first day, they kept breaking because of the... Alright, let's get these guys coming up from behind, because we are starting to lose the... we did lose Pittsburg Landing. The first coming up from here. Is there any forces I can sort of... I really can't break away any of these forces, unfortunately. Take their supplies. Maybe if we can get all their supplies so we can break them. Get them to run out of ammo. Buckland is still pushing us here. Granted, there is no more. Alright, I'm gonna start moving some of these guys forward. So I just thought of it. There's no actual... I do want to make sure that these guys can't push up. But at the same time, I need to be able to get forces on the landing. But a lot of my forces that have made it to the landing are now running out of ammo. So, Pittsburg Landing looks like it's exchanged hands again. But Union cavalry is giving me a lot of problems. This unit as well is giving me a lot of problems now. A lot of my troops are almost out of ammo. But I would imagine a lot of... Oh no! Their reinforcements have arrived. So it looks like Lew Wallace has arrived. Maybe. I don't really know the brigades that Lew Wallace commanded. Or maybe that is just, what's his face, Bull Nelson. So my forces that I had on my right look like they're breaking, but I am starting to break, holding better on the left now. As I start getting more troops in to Pittsburg Landing. Oh no, go Hope Stewart. So we broke Williams, so I'm gonna have Anderson go after Williams. Chalmers, you go here. You don't need to get up north. Come up behind them. Oh no, I think that's Lew Wallace's division. I'm gonna get the Tigers up here as well. Now my other supply is now empty. Have 50 minutes to hold the landing. At this point, I think they're out of. So is these guys. Let's just get all these troops up north. Don't really need to hold this area anymore. We've pretty much broken them. Let's do it. It's taking a shit ton of casualties. Oh my god. Well, this episode's getting long, so I'm gonna pause it and we're gonna end this episode here. So thank you all for watching. We'll finish up the battle hopefully in the next episode, but for now, thank you all for watching and have a good one. Bye bye.